Hare Krishna, a very good evening and warm welcome to all of you for joining with us today. Can you all hear me loud and clear? Can you all see me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, I see a wonderful participation starting with 53 participants today. Thank you so much for joining us. Uh, we'll start with short prayers and then we'll get into our session today. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोविष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकलामियं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दिनतारिणं Hello, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Thank you so much for joining today. Today we have crossed 4 modules, right? So yes, so we have covered 4 modules: converting stress to smile, managing the raging mind, self-realization for soul real satisfaction, purpose of life, and today we are on the 5th module, which is building lasting relationships. Uh, First of all, I would like to appreciate each one of you because uh, you're taking such interest in spirituality and the kind of questions that I see coming from all of you and the experience that you share. I just quickly want to see how many of you are regularly chanting. How many of you have taken up the challenge and every day you're chanting? Can you raise your hand? Yes, I see a lot of hands going up there. Okay. Girish Balu, 16 rounds. Very, very inspiring. Okay, I see hands going up everywhere. Wow, this is really inspiring. And I think we have already achieved the goal that we had in mind when we started this program. So it's very good that all of you have taken up to the process of meditating, taking out some time and every day chanting. And I'm sure you're all experiencing great benefit, and that's why you're doing it by yourself. Especially during this time of pandemic, we have a lot of free time, So our life has become very simple, and so we have two options. Either we simply live and hardly think, or we practice simple living and high thinking. And that's what you are doing. And that is important because if you simply live and hardly think, time will go, and when the pandemic situation will be over, we'll see that we had a lot of time during the pandemic because life we have been forced to lead a simple life, because we don't have to worry which dress to wear every day before going to college or going to our office. We don't have to worry that I have to pack my lunch box because anyway we are eating at home. We don't have to worry about you know most of the things that used to occupy our mind, and our mind is so free and we have so much time to lead. In that time, spending or investing that time to learn something, to grow is very important. And that's what all of you are doing. So, and that's something that's really appreciable. So it is said we should stop going through life. We should start growing through life. It's not just, keep going, just the way things are coming, keep flowing, but it is important that we keep growing. And with that thought, I designed these modules so that all of you can benefit. So let's start with today's session. Very important, relationships. It's something more serious and more subtle. It's something that we need to be aware of, because day in, day out, we get into new relationships and we deal with old relationships. Yes. So let me quickly bring up my slides. Okay. Yes. So I hope you can see the screen. Okay. Can you see my screen? Okay. I assume that you see my screen, and I won't have, so before I start, because this is a online session, there are limitations. I won't be always be able to look at the chat, but sometimes when I would ask you something and I want you to respond pretty quick, and I want to be attentive and responsive, I would look at the chat at that time. And apart from that, I would request all of you, if you have any queries, any specific question from any part of today's seminar, please keep noting it down, and towards the end, we will take those questions in the chat. And another notice beforehand is, in case I lose electricity, I lose power, I would take few minutes to join back. So please bear with me in that case. Okay. So let's start. Now today onwards, next 3 days, we are going to discuss various details about how we can build long-lasting, fulfilling relationships. So my question to you, my first question to you for today is, why should we at all discuss on relationships? Do you think this is an important topic that we should discuss? Let me know in the chat, why do you think we should at all discuss on relationships? How is it important? Does it make sense? Can you relate to it? Yes. Okay. We are social animals. Okay. Anyone else? Why do we need relationships at all? After all, we are children of God. Yes. Wonderful. Because we live in a society. Yes. We are interdependent on each other. Yes. The basement of our living. Because we deal with it day on day in basis. Yes. Correct. Sometimes we have problem with that. Yes. They play a vital role in spirituality, build connection of circuit. Okay. Support each other. Yes. It's important, because our relationship good, then we can do everything nicely. Yes. So thank you for your quick responses. Okay, Karthik, that's the last answer I can take now. And yes, all of you are very correct. We should discuss on relationships. First and foremost, as you have learned from previous sessions, that we are all spirit souls, part and parcel of God, part and parcel of Krishna. And in that perspective, we cannot live without reciprocations. We cannot live without developing relationships. It is an integral part that gives us happiness, that gives us, it's a natural longing for all of us, that we feel like dealing with people, we feel like talking to people, we feel happiness when we do it together. Just for example, let's say somebody watches a movie. Most of it people enjoy when we go to a hall with friends and do it together, and then we watch and come back and go to the college and tell our friends, this movie was like this, why don't you also go? Yes. Alone, nothing is enjoyable, nothing is pleasurable. And what to speak of, so I was telling this at the very beginning in our inauguration program, maybe, or in our promo video, that things are meant to be used and people are meant to be loved, but sometimes we are so distracted that we love things and use people in our day-to-day lives. And that's why you see in the society, because of uh, broken relationships, people are always frustrated. People are so sad all the times. So relationships in life determine whether we are happy or sad. And you would have this experience a lot. Sometimes, let's say you are returning from your college or you're returning from your office, and you come home and your mother smiles at you, mother or wife smiles at you and serves you your favorite dish, you know, and you're very hungry. You're very hungry, and your mother has prepared your favorite dish and she serves it to you. But then what had happened during the day? You had a fight with one of your close friends, or one of your teachers had spoken something harsh to you, or your boss had come down on you, found faults and criticized. Something happened to you related to your relationships at your college or your office. So you would see, although you're very hungry and although you have your favorite dish in front of you, you would not feel that pleasure. Yes. And sometimes just the opposite happens. Yes. Although we have a burnt chapati or roti on our plates, but then we had a very pleasant experience. Our boss appreciated at office, or you know, we met a new friend after a long time and we had a nice chat. We were very happy and jolly. And that in that way, uh, whatever is the food, it doesn't matter. We are happy. The relationships make our mood all the time. It is very, very vital. It might be very prominent in front of our mind or going in the back of our mind, but the quality of relationships in our life decides the quality of our life. Yes. And this is also important, my dear friends. Relationships can either be opportunities to grow or a reason for our downfall. Every relationship. And my dear friends, I would just mention this before going forward, that whatever we discuss during these 3 days around relationships, these are universal principles. It applies to all kind of relationships that we have. It applies to the relationships within our family, to our parents, to our friends, brothers and sisters, spouse, husband or wife, or within our family. It relates to our relationships in our office or college. It relates to relationship with other living entities as well. Yes. So relationships can either be opportunities to grow or reason for downfall. Yes. If you have a very good relationship with your boss, materially you grow. In similar terms, if we have very good relationship with our spiritual mentors, we take good guidance, we grow spiritually. And just the opposite, we disrespect, we disregard, we act arrogantly, and we spoil our relationships, and we end up nowhere. We don't get any opportunity to grow, and it gradually makes us fall down. Yes. So that's why it's important for us to discuss. Yes. And one of you said that, yes, we can't avoid relationships. Our relationships are inevitable. It comes around all the time, everywhere, in all spheres of life. So it's important for us that we learn how to deal with it. We be proactive. And my dear friends, after these sessions that we are going to have on relationship, I'm sure we have to learn one thing, that we have to be proactive and we have to be cognizant about what is going on with my relationships. Sometimes what happens is we are not concerned, we are not bothered, we are just inert to the things that go around. Yes, when we were children, we were small, we were given parents by God, and things were very acceptable. But once we have grown up, we should put specific endeavor to make sure that our relationships are strong, built on values, everlasting, and fulfilling. And so we have to learn some art, some skill sets, so that we experience happiness through wonderful relationships. Moving ahead about the topic for 3 days. Now, when I was planning these sessions, I thought relationship is a very, very big topic. It's a huge topic. And it takes a lot of time if you want to go to the depths and discuss every nitty-gritties and all the details of it, it would take a lot of time. So I was just, when I started writing down my notes, I made an acronym of relationship, RELATIONSHIP, the whole thing. And I found out that there can be, you know, 8, 12 qualities that we can discuss in details when we talk about relationship. But then, in interest of time, and I thought I should give you something very crisp and very practical so that we can stay focused and we can have something solid to do. I came up with a 3-step, 3 building blocks. And those 3 are the first 3 letters of a relationship. So R, E, and L. And these 3 days, today we are going to discuss on R, tomorrow we are going to discuss about E, and day after tomorrow, Saturday, we are going to discuss about L. And these stand for something specific, some qualities which act as building blocks for all relationships that we come across. Yes, and these are universal principles, my dear friend, and my dear friends. And how do we do it every day? I have thought of a pattern. It would help us learn in a systematic way. So what I have planned is, I would take one letter R, and which is a principle, a value, a quality that we should develop and practice. And to learn that, I would have to take a case study from the scriptures, from the Vedas. I will present the case study to you, and I will ask you what are the lessons that we learn. And then from that, we will take some examples. Yes, we will take some examples of how to better in that quality. And at the end, I will have a slide for things to do, which something practical that we can do in our life to develop that quality. Yes. And as you know, so this structure would help us go do the theory and the practical hand in hand. So that way, I'm sure we all will be benefited. Yes. So who wants to guess what does R stand for? I think it should be pretty straightforward. Oh, I see many of you have started guessing. Yes, 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 correct. So let's go ahead. Yes, you're correct. You know, the building the base of any relationship is surely respect. Nothing can develop if we don't have basic respect. And it pertains to any kind of relationship that you may have. What to speak of people, even to animals, even with nature. If we don't respect, if we don't value, if we act arrogantly, our relationship with anything in this world won't be strong and lasting. For example, nowadays people talk about global warming and so much happening in the nature which is harmful for us. But are we respecting nature? The way we are dealing with nature, is it respectable? Is it respectful? Yes? No, we are not dealing with nature with respect. Yes? The dog we see in the street, you know, we just go and kick it. Is it respect? No. What is the result? We get bitten. So things like that. So the first and the foremost important thing is respect. Now let me quickly go and present to you the case study of Daksha. My dear friends, listen very carefully as I narrate the story. I'm trying to make it as interesting as possible for all of you with the time limitations that I have. Yes, so it's a long story. It is narrated wonderfully in the ancient scripture called Srimad Bhagavatam. In Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, first chapter itself, it starts and it goes on, it spans many chapters where it explains the story of Daksha, how he was given a great responsibility and how he lost everything because of what we are discussing today, is respect, because he failed to give respect. So the story starts from a time when Daksha was a great person. He was the son of Lord Brahma, and because of his practice of austerities and penances, he got the vision of Lord Vishnu, and from Vishnu he got the boon of taking the post of a Prajapati. Prajapati means one who is responsible for procreating and expanding the population of the universe. The story is from a very long time ago, when this particular universe was being formed and filled by population. So Daksha was one of the Prajapatis, and he was given the service, the responsibility of procreating many human beings and filling up the universe. Daksha was a very powerful person. His body was effulgent. He had a huge following. He was the king of the earthly planet. He was ruling the kingdom. He had many followers. He was very powerful. He had a lot of riches. Materially, he was very successful. And with wealth comes pride. And yes, my dear friends, he had a lot of pride in him. When he used to organize sacrifices or yajnas, all demigods, all devtas used to come, and they used to wait for the offerings that Daksha used to give them. And Daksha used to do all this with a purpose of becoming richer and richer, materially more affluent, and ultimately for the benefit of people also. Yes, so he used to perform the sacrifices. He used to invite all brahmanas and all demigods, and obviously he would come to these sacrifices with an expectation that people would worship him, praise him, give him all respects and make him sit on the throne. Yes, and that was Daksha. So once what happened, in one such sacrificial arena, everybody had gathered. So one day, this sacrifice, Daksha planned to arrange a huge sacrifice, and he came to that arena. In that arena, all great devtas had come. Indra, Chandra, Varuna, Lord Brahma was present, and Lord Shiva was also present. And Daksha entered. Daksha entered with all his pomp and grandeur, and he was dressed in all royal clothes. His body was glowing with effulgence because of his prowess. He entered the arena, and everybody stood up. Seeing Daksha's form and personality and his power and opulence, everybody stood up from their seats. And Lord Brahma, because Lord Brahma is the most superior amongst all demigods, and he happens to be the father of Daksha, he did not stand up, which is proper. Lord Shiva, who was present there, he was so absorbed, his mind was so absorbed in worshipping and thinking and praying and in meditation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, that he was forgetful of the surroundings. It was not that he wanted to disrespect Daksha and he intentionally was sitting, but he did not stand up. And also from a perspective that Shiva is superior to all of the demigods. Shiva is non-different from Lord Vishnu. He's compared to curd. If Vishnu is milk, Shiva is curd. So it's a form which is not different. He's very elevated person. And in this world, he is famous as Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu, the best of the devotees. So he's a very elevated personality, a very senior personality. So in that sense as well, he was, in a spiritual perspective, far superior to Daksha. But then, Daksha could see Shiva only by the terms of his bodily relationship. So Shiva happened to be married to Sati. Sati was the daughter of Daksha. So in that sense, Daksha happened to be the father-in-law of Shiva. And that made Daksha become very angry. He came in an expectation that everybody would worship him. And obviously everybody worshipped him. Everybody stood up and glorified him, and Brahma offered him the proper respects for him to take the throne in the sacrificial arena. But still, Daksha saw there's one person who didn't get up, and that is Shiva. And he could not control himself. He lost his control, and because of his pride and arrogance, because of his envy, he could not see, he was blinded, he could not see the greatness of his apparent son-in-law. He saw Shiva as a very ordinary person. And many of you know that Lord Shiva is Bhutnath, he is Ashutosh, he is very merciful. When most of the Devatas, they want to enjoy the offerings of very posh followers and worshippers, Lord Shiva is so merciful that he shows his mercy to pretas, bhutas, pisachas, yakshas, those who are very fallen souls, who have no other gati, no other way to achieve a higher destination. They all take shelter of Shiva, and Shiva takes care of them. And that's why Shiva is most of the time surrounded by bhutas, pretas, pishachas, yakshas, and he is famous for putting ashes on his body, and he has he has matted hair. He just wears a skin of a deer, not poshly clothed. So from a material perspective, from a material bodily perspective, he does not look like someone who is fit to be the son-in-law of Daksha. Daksha, who's a great person, who's a king, rich. And so Daksha was very, very envious of Shiva. And seeing Shiva not getting up, Daksha became infuriated. He could not control his anger, and he started speaking so harshly. All harsh words, Virukti, came out of his mouth. And he said, this Shiva, he thinks he's a great person. I don't know why people call him Ashutosh, why his name is Shiva, which means all auspicious. He is in no way auspicious. And to the extent Daksha falls, he calls that this Shiva has eyes like monkey, and my daughter, who is so beautiful, like the heavenly, more beautiful than the heavenly girls, and I had to get my girl married to Shiva on the request of Lord Brahma, and he is not fit. He's unqualified, and he kept venting out all his envy towards Lord Shiva. And people were just, some people who were, some Brahmanas were present who also kind of ideologically agreed to Daksha, and they were sitting and kind of smiling. Others felt very bad. And Daksha finally reached to a point where he cursed Lord Shiva. And that was like the crescendo of his offense. He took water on his hands and he spelled out a curse that wherever sacrifice happens, Lord Shiva will not receive his oblations, will not receive his offerings. Seeing this, later the followers of Shiva, led by Nandishwar, became very angry, and that's natural when their master was being disrespected like that in front of everybody. Nandishwar became very angry, and he realized that all these people who are sitting in this arena, nobody is protesting. In that sense, everybody is supporting it. And Nandishwar became wild and he started cursing the group of Brahmanas who were present. And he cursed Bhrigu and his followers in various ways. After that, it became a huge mess. Bhrigu, the Brahmanas, they again retaliated and counter-cursed. So this was going on. Nandishwar was cursing, the Brahmanas were counter-cursing, and this went on for a while. And Lord Shiva was so morose, sad seeing this. He didn't expect this will happen. It was not intentional. He was not intentionally doing anything. So Lord Shiva just got up from that place and without retaliating, without reacting, he walked away. And all his followers followed him. So that day got over. After some days, Daksha again arranged another sacrifice. And this time, he did not even bother to invite Lord Shiva. He was so envious and so angry on Shiva that he didn't even bother to call him. But what happened is Sati, who is the wife of Shiva, daughter of Daksha, she saw through the sky path all the demigods, all the great Gandharvas, Charanas, all great personalities with their families. They are flying on their planes and going to the sacrifice that Daksha is arranging. Those days, the sacrifices used to be huge, interplanetary, and people used to come from different planets and come to attend. And Parvati from Kailash was able to see how everybody dressed wonderfully and they were going. So what happened is Parvati or Shiva sorry, Sati wanted to, it's a very natural, emotional, what do you say, desire. Especially if you see amongst ladies, it is very prominent that they love socializing, they love getting dressed nicely, wearing nice jewelry, doing makeup, and gelling with people, getting around with the relatives, brothers and sisters, and mother. That's very natural. So Sati, the same natural womanly instinct, she went to her husband, Shiva, and presented that, oh, my dear Lord, my dear husband, I wish to go to the sacrifice which my father is arranging, and I want to see my sisters, I want to see my mother, and all my friends were coming there, and I want to go with you. She didn't want to go alone. She said, it'll be very nice if you come. I want to go and meet all my relatives. But Shiva was aware what is going to happen. He knew that Daksha was very envious of him, and Shiva told her, see, he has not invited me, first thing. Second thing is, last time you see what happened. And that was a very bad experience for me. And although I was not at fault, he cursed me and he just he was so offensive. So if you go this time, again, same thing will happen. Again, you will experience disrespect and you will not be able to tolerate the disrespect of your husband. And you will feel like giving up your body. So please don't go, Lord Shiva said. My desire is, please don't go, but then it is up to you. So Parvati Sati was so much, her mind, she had already prepared her mind. What dress am I going to wear? What am I going to carry? Whom am I going to meet? What am I going to talk? And all that. And she was so enamored with all that. She finally decided that, let me go. So she somehow, because of her inclinations, she decided to go to her father's place. Now, seeing Sati going alone, all the followers of Lord Shiva, headed by Nandi, they all thought that Sati should not go alone. Anything might happen. Last time it went wrong. So they all started following Sati. Yes. Are you all with me? Are you all listening carefully, attentively? Are you all listening? Okay, I see yes is coming. Yes. Sometimes, online classes, I don't know. I don't get to see everybody. I'm sorry for that. Yes. So what happened next is Sati went to that place. Daksha didn't even look at her. What to speak of asking, how are you, my daughter? How are you doing? And everything. And because everybody was scared of Daksha, the supporters of Daksha, they even didn't offer any respects to such a great personality as Parvati. And then only the sisters of Parvati and her mother, they welcomed her, gave her some gifts, spoke some kind words, and made her sit. Daksha didn't even look at her. And she felt so hurt, so disrespected. When the sacrifice started, when the yajna started and they started offering ahutis and oblations, she observed that specifically there were no oblations made for Lord Shiva. What to speak of inviting him? There was no worship of Lord Shiva happening there, although Lord Shiva is such a great personality, deserving that worship. Parvati could not take it anymore. Sati, who's famous as the most chaste woman, she could not tolerate the disrespect, the offense that Daksha and his people offered to Lord Shiva. And we all know it's a very famous, and we say Daksha Yagya. Something gets messy, and we tell, Are, Daksha Yagya happened. Or Daksha Yagya is going to happen. So what happened is, after that, Sati decided, and she spoke to Daksha that, what is this? You're so proud and arrogant. Because of your riches and because of your prowess, you have become so proud that you fail to respect such a great devotee, such a great personality as Lord Shiva. He's so kind and merciful, and you are envious of him. And because I am Sati and I am your daughter, and I have been given this body by you, I am sad and sorry that I have got this body from you. And I want to destroy this body and all the connections that this body had with you. Today, I'll destroy this body because I'm your daughter and this bodily connection is there with you. You are such an offensive and proud and arrogant person. I want to just become free from this connection with you. And Mother Sati, because she knew all the mystic perfections, she sat on that sacrificial arena and she meditated. And she meditated and controlled the life air in the body. And she meditated on the lotus feet of Lord Shiva, her worshipable husband. And she meditated on the fire element of the body and lit her body in flames, and she left the body. The news spread very fast. The followers of Lord Shiva were about to attack Daksha, but then Bhrigu was there, powerful, and he created some demigods who made the followers of Shiva go away. But then what happened? Lord Shiva came to know, Narada told him. He became very, very angry and furious. And it was as if, just like Lord Shiva does Tandava at the end of every creation, he became very angry. And Lord Shiva plucked one hair from his head and threw it on the ground. And from there, a huge demon, a huge asura named Veerabhadra appeared. He had many, many arms with many, many weapons on each arm. He looked ferocious, his mouth gaping like a huge cave, his hairs, like you can see in the photo, his hair spread like fire. And he, with all the followers of Shiva, reached Daksha Yajna Sthala, the place of sacrifice. And he just severed hands and limbs of the supporters of Daksha, the followers of Daksha. He killed people and he massacred everything. And finally, he chopped off the head of Daksha. But then later, Lord Brahma sympathized with Daksha and his followers. They were also doing some service. They were also important in the creation. So Lord Brahma, with all the demigods, approached Lord Shiva and offered their prayers and told Lord Shiva, "You're so merciful. Please forgive them. Please give them another chance." And that's when, with Lord Shiva's mercy, Daksha had a head transplant. He had a goat's head placed on his neck. So he looked like a goat from that day on. And the rest of the people also were benedicted to revive and get restored in their positions. And then Daksha, obviously, after this whole experience, this whole ordeal, he humbled himself. He fell at his feet, at the feet of Lord Shiva, and begged forgiveness. And then he realized how he, because of his pride and arrogance, he has lost his such a wonderful daughter who was innocent, and who he should have stopped her from giving up her body in front of his eyes. And he was full of emotion and sadness, and he was repentant. And he folded his arms in front of Lord Shiva and begged for his forgiveness. So that's the story. It's a big story in Srimad Bhagavatam, but I have told in short. What do we learn? And that's the important part. Can we have some quick answers coming in? What do we learn from this? There were many things to learn from this story, but most importantly, with respect to our topic today, respect. What do we learn? Yes. Yes, Surendra is telling respect others, don't be proud, disrespecting, be down to earth. Yes, ego is harmful, respect and humbleness. We should be humble. Yes. Anger is not good. Yes, true. Ego is most dangerous. Pride and arrogance leads to downfall of any person. Respect others. Yes, yes. Recognize everybody. Be humble and respectful. So the same theme, and I'm very happy that you could catch or grasp the essence of the story. And let's see what are the important lessons that we learned today. First, failure in showing proper respect makes relationships very bitter. And I'm sure all of us would have that experience. Sometimes we expect respect, and we experience that when that respect is not given, how do we feel? We feel so hurt. We feel so low in morale when we are not respected. Same thing, the opposite person would also feel when I am not respecting somebody, when I am disrespecting. So, my dear friends, whichever lesson I'm sharing here today, both in these upcoming modules, is for you and for me as a person to implement. It is not for going and giving lecture to others. Please keep in mind, very important point. Yes, when I am discussing respect, when we are learning respect, it is for me to learn to give respect. You know, sometimes what happens in our temple lectures and in our sessions in youth forum, people come, youth students come, and they hear, so many, you should chant Hare Krishna, and you should be humble, and you should be tolerant, and all different things they hear, and they go and apply on other people. You should respect. And students go and tell parents, you should chant Hare Krishna. And the parents think, Hare, what is this you are teaching me? You're just a kid, you're my son, and you're coming and teaching me. What is this? And things go out of control. So my dear friends, please keep in mind, the lessons that we're learning is for yourself and for myself to apply, not for giving lecture to others. Okay. So coming back to the lessons that we learned from the Daksha story, failure in showing proper respect makes relationships bitter. Disrespect most often brings dire consequences. As we see in this story, there are hundreds of stories in Mahabharata, in Ramayana, in Vedas, innumerable incidents. I have just given another example of Indra. You all know the story when Lord Vamandev appeared. So that time Bali Maharaj, the leader of the Asuras, had become very powerful, and Indra had lost all his powers. Do you know the reason why? Because Indra failed to respect Brihaspati. Something very similar, but just the opposite. Indra was sitting when Brihaspati came to his court. Indra was accepting all the worship and fame, and people glorifying him. And his spiritual master Brihaspati entered the arena, the court. He forgot to get up, welcome him, respect him. And Brihaspati just left. He didn't tell anything. And what happened? Consequently, Indra lost all his powers, his name, fame, everything. On the other hand, Bali Maharaj, who was the leader of the demons, he respected and worshipped Shukracharya, his guru. And because of that, all the asuras and the demons were very powerful, and nobody could defeat them. And that's why later Vamandev comes and does his pastime to reclaim the power. Yes, so disrespect brings dire consequences. And this is very important, my dear friends. World is reciprocal. If you want respect for yourself, first give it. That is very important. There's a wonderful story when uh, a person goes to a saint and he asks, um, where can I meet the gods? I want to meet God. Where can I meet him? And the saint shows the path to the Himalayas, a mountain range. And he tells, go and talk. That is the mountain of the gods. And you can talk to God there. So this first person goes and stands like this. Hello, you are there? And he listens. You are there, you're there, you're there, you're there. And the mountains are just echoing. He said, and the person said, what is this? I came to talk to God and meet God. And what is this that I'm listening? Who are you? He shouted. And he listened. Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? From all directions. And he became very angry. What is this? Nobody's responding. And whatever I am asking, that is what is I'm hearing. And same tone, same arrogance. And he said, I hate you. And what he heard? I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. And he spoke, I don't like you. And he heard, I don't like you. Don't like you. Don't like you. And he got frustrated and he went back to the saintly person and said, what is this? This is not mountain of gods. And maybe this is a mountain of demons. Yes. And he had a very bad experience. But then there was another person who asked the same saint, where can I meet God? And that person was shown, and the saint showed the same place, and he went to the mountain. And that person went with folded arms, folded palms, and begged, oh God, thank you so much. And what he heard? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And he said, oh, you're so wonderful. And he heard, you're so wonderful, so wonderful, so wonderful. Yes. And my dear friends, the world is very similar. If we want respect, first we must give respect. Yes. So unlike Daksha, who was always expecting while failing to give, he could never get respect. Now coming to a very important question, why do we tend to disrespect? Why does it become difficult to be respectful always? And as many of you rightly said, the aphorism is there, pride comes before the fall. Yes, pride leads to our tendency or makes us fail to give respect. Yeah? So I'm going to share a wonderful flow how pride comes and what is the result of pride. Okay, this is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam 4th canto 8th chapter, where it is explained how from Brahma the negative personalities took birth, the whole progeny of negative people. And that first comes Adharmasya and Risha. Adharmasya is irreligion and falsity. And from Adharmasya and Risha's combination comes Dambha, false pride, Maya, cheating. Yes. So from irreligion and falsity, these two come together to give birth to pride, Dambha, and Maya. And these two combine to give rise to Lobha or greed and Nikriti or cunning. Those two combine and give rise to Krodha, anger, Himsa, envy, which further gives rise to Kali and Durukti, and which gives rise to Mrityu and Bhiti, and finally excessive pain and hell. So my dear friends, as you see, this is the road, this is the path. And it's as you saw, when Daksha was proud and arrogant, that led to greed. He was greedy to acquire more and more and get more and more name fame for himself. Become very cunning. He did not invite Lord Shiva. And then he was angry on Lord Shiva and envious on Lord Shiva, which led to his harsh speech. Yes, Kali and Durukti, harsh speech. And then that led to death and fear and ultimately a hellish condition. So this is uh, the sequence, and we might fall in this cycle. So if you see, what will happen if I cut it at the root? And that's the solution, my dear friends. We have to cut it here itself. We have to fight the tendency to become proud. Yes. And that's how we can stop gliding gradually down to hell. Yes. So once we understand that's the root cause, that's the root problem, we should discuss how we should take some examples of how people stayed humble and how they paid respect. So there are numerous examples in the scriptures where people showed respect and taught us. If you see the first photo we saw the story of Sudama Vipra, and Sudama was Krishna's childhood friend. They were together in the Gurukul of Sandipani Muni in Ujjain, and they were studying together. Later, Krishna became a great king in Dwarka, and Sudama Vipra became more and more poor. And one day, his wife requested him, "Why don't you go to Lord Krishna? He's well placed. He can help you." And Sudama, with a hesitant heart, he didn't want to ask anything from Krishna. With a pure intention to meet his friend after a long time, he visited Krishna. And Krishna, although he was the king in Dwarka, he had 16,108 palaces in Dwarka, huge opulence. But he came running to the city gates, to the palace gates, to welcome Sudama, his childhood friend. And Sudama was wearing tattered clothes, torn pieces of clothes. He was shabby, and he didn't have anything to possess. And Krishna was dressed as a king with all wealth. He came and just hugged his friend Sudama with so much love. And he took Sudama to his personal quarters, his bedroom, where no outside people can even enter. And Lord Krishna showed us how to respect a Brahmana, how to respect a devotee. He arranged for water, and he personally, it's not that he told his servants, go wash his feet. He took a bowl of water, and with the Kaushal he took water, poured on his feet, and washed and massaged Sudama's feet because he was tired from traveling for so long. So Krishna himself showed how we should not miss this point of respecting people. In Mahabharata, there are also various instances where respect was prominently showed. Like for example, uh, these Pandavas, they were ready to kill the Kauravas at the very the very place where Draupadi was disrespected. But because they respected Yudhishthir so much, they did not go against his word and they followed the path of Dharma. Similarly, when the battle of Kurukshetra was about to begin, all the armies were arranged in two sides. Yudhishthira he removed all his weapons and started walking, folding his hands towards the Kauravas. And the Pandava side thought, "Arey, what is he doing? Is he going to surrender himself? And there will be no war. What is happening?" And Krishna knew what is happening because he is Sarvagya, he knows. So Yudhishthir walked up to Bhishma first, then he walked up to Dronacharya, then Kripacharya. With folded arms, he bowed down to the feet of Bhishma, Dronacharya, and Kripacharya because they are his gurus. They are the people who have trained the Pandavas to be who they were. And he bowed down in front of them, and with folded palms, he said, "It is such a sad state that we are standing opposite to each other." And he asked, "Please tell me how I can be victorious." Very strange. He's asking them, "How can I kill you?" And Bhishma, Dronacharya, Kripacharya had the same answer to begin with. They said, if you had not come here and showed your respect and love to us, we would have surely cursed you to be defeated. And it is said in the Shastras that before a war, if you offer yourself with respect to the elders, you will always be victorious. And that's why, Yudhishthir, we bless you that you will be victorious. And that was the power of giving respect. If you see Vedic life, in every grain, this quality of respect uh, is engraved. Very, very, very subtly, everywhere, this language of respect is there. On the opposite side, we see what the Kauravas did. They disrespected Draupadi. Duryodhana, when he was talking to his generals, Bhishma, Dronacharya, Kripacharya, he spoke very arrogantly. He had no respect. He just said, you should fight, you should not favor the Pandavas. I know you love them, but he tried to incite them to fight to their best. And that's Mahabharata. And we know what is the result. What was the result? In Ramayana, same thing. The concept of respect is engraved, is in the threads itself. We see how Lord Ram, just to uphold the respect of his father, was ready to go to any extents of taking trouble. Yes. And we saw when Jatayu fell and Lord Ram found Jatayu in pain and was about to die, and Lord Ram did the Shraddha, the Antyeshti Kriya, gave the position of father to Jatayu. Jatayu was a vulture, a bird, but Lord Ram, by doing the Shraddha ceremony of Jatayu, gave him the respectable position of father of Lord Ram, just because Jatayu had done great sacrifice and service to Lord Ram. Yes. And we obviously know how Ravana, because of his disrespect towards Sita, he was destroyed. So thus we have glaring examples of giving respect in scriptures. Coming to what is important to us, how we can be respectful always. And this is the important part, my dear friends. I will take a few more minutes to discuss something very practical. So please focus and stay tuned. So this is one verse which is given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in one of his biographies, Chaitanya Charitamrita, where he tells, Pranadapi suni chena taroreva sahishnua amanina manadena kirtaniya sada hari. So this mantra, this verse, plays such an important role in our lives. It tells, one who thinks himself lower than the grass, who is more tolerant than a tree, and who does not expect personal honor, yet is always prepared to give respect, all respect to others, can very easily always chant the holy name of the Lord. And this is a secret mantra given to us, a formula, how we can always focus our mind in chanting the holy names of the Lord. To think oneself lower than the grass, being humble. To be more tolerant than a tree. To not expect any respect for one's own self, and to always be ready to respect others. Yes. So this verse we all can try to memorize. I'll give you the reference where you can find it. We can always keep this in mind so that we can develop these qualities and be always respectful. So coming to the last slide for today. I know the time is up, but I'll take a few more minutes. And this is important, my dear friends. The things to do part. This is something practical that we should do to help ourselves to be always be respectful. Something very practical. I have 3 steps for you, 3 things to do for you. So this has worked for many of my friends, many of us, myself, many of my seniors who have been practicing spirituality, and this, I'm sure, if you try to implement, would help you. First thing, making a habit of bowing down and offering obeisances. See, I'm going to speak something very practical, and you can try it out. I would say try it out and see the results. Making a habit of bowing down and offering obeisances. We know in Indian families it's an ancient culture, and parents teach children how to bow down and do namaskar, do pranams in front of the. Whenever we go to temple, we have a custom of bowing down, either doing ashtang pranam or panchang pranam. We bow down before the deities. This culture was given to us to make sure that we stay humble. And when I came into ISKCON, this was one of the important things that I learned. Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON, has taught us how to practice this culture of respect. If you have noticed in our devotee circles, we always address each other as Prabhuji. Prabhu means master, which is a respectable position. Or to ladies, we say Mataji, the position of a mother, which is the purest relationship present in the Kali Yuga. So we give such respect to the devotees around us. And Srila Prabhupada taught us this very sternly. Please address each other as Prabhuji or Mataji. So with that vocabulary, we get into the mood of respecting others. And Srila Prabhupada taught us how to make a habit of bowing down and offering obeisances. Many of his Western disciples, when he started ISKCON in the West, in US, it was very difficult for Western youths to bow down to an Indian man and an old man. But Srila Prabhupada trained them. Somebody would say, I don't feel like bowing down. But Srila Prabhupada said, first you bow down, then you see the transformation that is going to come. Yes. And in our Sanatan Dharma, the culture is always there. Just like you see, I'm wearing a tilak. So tilak represents the two lotus feet of Lord Vishnu and Tulsi. So it represents that we are holding the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu on our head and Tulsi on our head. That is the kind of respect that we need to give to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And my dear friends, the respect that we give, it's not just on the bodily level. We are trained to give respect to the insects. We don't kill them. We are trained to give respect to the dog on the street, because each of us, we are living entities and part and parcel of God. So we should respect everybody. Coming to the second point, render at least one menial service every day. So the spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, said, the mind is so rebellious and full of negative qualities. It is important that we beat the mind once we get up in the morning. And beating the mind means making it do things which humbles ourselves. And menial service, one menial service every day would help us stay down to earth, stay humble, stay focused in respecting others. Menial service can be many. At our homes, we are there. We might be playing the role of a husband, a son, a father, a wife, a daughter, anybody. But just take up a service at home. Why don't we get up and clean our bed and clean the room that we are staying in? Why don't we go and wash the utensils? Why can't we cut the vegetables required for the cleaning? Why can't we go out and purchase whatever is required? So these are all daily menial jobs, and it is very humbling. Sometimes when lockdown was not there, we would give this task to the servant maids who would come to our house, and we would lose the opportunity to becoming humble ourselves. So it is very important, especially during the lockdown, it's an opportunity. All of us, we can decide one menial service that we can do every day. Just choose whatever you want to do. Maybe some cleaning, maybe washing plates, maybe helping in the kitchen, or anything. Just decide yourself, but take up one service every day, and that would help you stay humble. And the third thing, and this is very important, and this is something new, maintain a gratitude diary. You see, my dear friends, the opposite of pride and arrogance is humility and gratefulness. And to develop humility and gratefulness, we need to put efforts. We need to try hard. And this is a nice way to do it. So I will take a couple of more minutes for this. What we do generally is we maintain a diary. It can be any size, any pattern, doesn't matter. Take a diary, and every day before going to bed, make sure that you write down about at least one thing, one person who has helped you, whom you are grateful towards, or an incident that you're thankful for. You can praise a person, you can express your gratitude, you can say thanks to a person, but every day you should have at least one anecdote to write and express your gratitude for. My dear friends, trust me, if you do this exercise internally, we will develop that mood to stay humble and grateful. And when we are humble and grateful, we will always be successful in giving respects to others. Yes. So I would like to close for today because it's already 7:07. I don't want to keep you waiting. But yes, questions are welcome. All of you are welcome to post your questions on the chat. Before I go to questions, I'm sure you would all be eager to know what is E and L is and what are the practical things that we can do for developing E and L. That is tomorrow and day after. We have also some guest lecturers who are going to join us and share their practical experience in developing relationship based on spirituality. So that is going to come. There is a lot of wonderful things in stock for all of you. Please stay tuned. Yes. So I formally end today's session, but I am open to questions. If you want to discuss anything specific, if you want to unmute yourself, you can, or if you want to go back to any slide and discuss, I would open up the floor for you. So do we have any questions? Help me find it out. How to not have ego. Yes. So ego is, actually it is not possible to not have ego. We would always have ego. But when we accept a material body, our true ego gets transformed as false ego. So when a soul who is pure in the spiritual world falls into this material world, the true ego gets transformed as false ego. Yes. So what is the true ego? The true ego in the spiritual world is Jiver Swarup Hai Krishna Nityadas. In the spiritual world, everybody accepts themselves as servant and is humble and down to earth. But when we come to the world, it gets transformed as false ego. False ego means I am the enjoyer, I am powerful, I am great, I want to be respected. That is false ego. But more and more we spiritualize our life through chanting Hare Krishna, through reading scriptures, through associating with people who are also working on becoming free from false ego and transforming false ego into true ego. More we associate with such people, it will become easy for us to escape the ego. That's the short answer. How to implement this to respect others in professional life? That's one question. If any question. Okay, so first question. So one thing that I would answer is how to implement this to respect others in professional life when it comes to office. Yes, there can be different situations from person to person, but find that it is important practically for our careers that we always speak the right way. We do not transgress the hierarchy that's there. My experience of corporate life is people say, you can call me by my name, and our corporate culture is of a parallel. There is no hierarchy, but everybody wants respect. Especially if it is a boss or manager in our professional lives, it is important that we pay respect. And there, it's also a skill. There, we don't. No, I can't tell you go to pay obeisances to your boss. That is not possible. But yes, the way we speak, the way we conduct ourselves requires a lot of sensitivity. For example, you can't say, oh, go do this. Yes. So when we are in office, we say, it will be very nice if you can help me with this. So that's an art. And I'll discuss this in details in tomorrow's session, how to be sensitive. So brief about that. Yes, this is a practical skill that we need. But internally, what we discussed today is the philosophy behind it. Everybody should be respected if we want success in our relationships. And the very fact that everybody, no matter whether he deals with me nicely or bad way, he is a soul, a part and parcel of God, that itself is a good reason for us to respect. Now, we may avoid some people because they are very harmful to us. But that does not mean we will disrespect. Avoiding and disrespecting are two different things. Yes. Okay. What's the next question? If any relationships are spoiled earlier due to disrespect or pride, how to mend them? Okay. It depends. First and foremost, we can start with an apology. There's no harm in taking the first step. So it is always good if we take the first step and humble ourselves. There is no wrong in it. And to the degree the relationship is burnt or spoiled, you would get the reaction from the person. Yes, because of our disrespect or pride. I have experienced that initially when I came to this process of Krishna consciousness in this life of spirituality, I was very insensitive and immature in my presentation. So I would go back to my college hostel and tell other boys, "You are all fallen, conditioned souls. You have so much anarthas in your heart, and you will go to hell." Very strong speaking, not literally. I'm just a little exaggerating, but yes, sometimes we do that, and because of our behavior, the bridges get burnt. So we can take initiative to build the bridges again. Yes, to take a humble position, to appreciate, to ask, to glorify, to thank. Let's start with that. If because of our pride we have spoiled the bridge, and initially you might get it back, initially you might get, but then people will gradually observe that no, this person is trying to change, this person is transforming. Whatever he is doing, he is not that same proud egoistic person who used to be earlier, and then people will again come back. That is possible. What if we are giving respect to person, but that person is not accepting anything? He thinks he is always right. Some people enjoys disrespecting others. What to do? Yes, be the change that you want to see in the world. Yes, we can always be respectful. See, our conduct, how we be with others, cannot be decided by others' behavior. Yes, you should always stick to your virtue. Now today we are learning to respect others, no matter other we get it back in return or not. Yes, but we should always be respectful and set a good standard and example for others to follow. Yes, and when the other person disrespects you, one time, two time, just tolerate till the time that person experiences a transformation. If you say that person does not experience a transformation, leave it up to him. Like Daksha, someday or other Krishna will arrange a situation where he'll be humbled. Yes, we have to ask ourselves, do we have the post and position to correct that person and change the person or not? If not, just conduct yourself based on the value that you're learning and leave that person up to his destiny, and it will be taken care. What is the next question? What if a person tries to force his decision on us, which we don't want to do? Okay, this is some Kirti. What if any person tries to force his decisions on us, which we don't want to do? See, this is a different topic, Being respectful doesn't mean you're like a puppet. जो बोल रहे करेंगे. I'm your servant. I'll do whatever you are telling. No, no, that is not what is respect. We can be respectful at the same time be assertive. Yes, it is important to hold on to our point at times. So we have to be assertive, but this is a skill how we present ourselves. Being assertive, firm in our decision, and being respectful. We don't tell, see, sometimes what we do know, why the opposition comes. When we are having a discussion in a situation, we tell, oh, you don't know anything. Many times it happens between husband and wife. There is some disagreement, and we say, oh, you don't know anything. How is it we don't know anything? You know something. So somebody might be, so the discussion might go in a tussle, might be going to a fight, which we don't want. But respecting means you are okay, I am okay. And that's what we see when we don't have ego in the center. Yes. So if we think based on our experience, one decision is correct, we should present it firmly and not just tell, okay, you're senior, whatever. We should express it that this is what I think is good, can happen. Let's discuss. So in a respectful way, we should not tell, Larry, you don't know anything, I know better. It very much depends on how we present it. So Kirti, this is something very practical and something of a skill that we need to have. How to present ourselves assertively, respectfully, but not just take others' decisions on us. Yes. How to mend the relation which are already spoiled. I discussed that. How to get rid of pride. That's something that we discussed today. How to get rid of pride. It's a gradual process, my dear friend. And I believe if you take the last 3 steps that we discussed, I'm sure it will help you get rid of pride. Every day we make a habit of bowing down. Morning when we get up, we go to the altar, take darshan of Lord and bow down. In the morning, we go down to the elders of the family and bow down to their lotus feet. Even Srila Prabhupada taught us that in our temples every day in the morning, everybody bows down and offers a prayer. Vancha kalpaturu vyascha kripa sindhu evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. So he taught us a culture where everybody bows down to everybody and offers this pranam as a respect. Yes. And there, at that place, everybody understands that yes, everybody else is respectable. Yes. How to deal with friends which are not doing spiritual activity. This is an important topic and a sensitive topic as well. Dealing with friends is very important. Do not be insensitive. I have seen many of our youths who come to who comes to spiritual activity initially and then very insensitively presents it to the friends. Yes. So first and foremost thing, do not think once you have started spirituality, do not think you have become a demigod and your friends are all demons. Do not ever have that mindset. So that's why we should always remember our past. When we had not started practicing spirituality, we were in the same position. Our friends should take inspiration from our spiritual activity and come up. It will not always happen that you directly speak to them. Practically, it's best if you invite your friend to such seminars that we conduct. And from the senior, mature spiritual mentors, they hear. And then if they like it, they adapt to it. They experience it and then they take it up. So all that we can do for our friends is we can pray when we are chanting. We can pray for our friends that they also get the opportunity to practice spiritual activity, and we inspire them through our example. Our friends observe us very closely, and they see what this person is what kind of transformation is coming up, what is happening. And that's when they also become eager to adopt spiritual activity. If we forcibly tell, no, no, you also should come, you also should attend the seminar, what are you doing? You're wasting your time. You're not growing through your life. You're just going through your life. And we very insensitively speak to our friends. Obviously, with the eagerness that they also should take up spirituality. But then the end results become something opposite. So we should be very sensitive and not be impatient. We should inspire our friends to come and join us in the seminars, come and talk to the spiritual mentors in this forum and discuss their doubts and gradually take up spiritual activity. Did I answer all questions or did I miss out anything? So I'm sure many of these questions will get more clarity once we get into the depths tomorrow. There are 6 to 7 practical things to do in tomorrow's session. So we'll discuss more. Thank you so much. I'll end my session here. If there are any questions left out that I might not have answered, we'll take it up from the chat and respond in an email. So is that okay? Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.